Hello, I'm Payne Walker, candidate for Fort Walton Beach City Council. There are 4 open seats. I'm running for one of those. The election is March 14th. If you haven't voted already by mail, then please show up on March 14th to cast your vote, and let's get a record turnout. That would be awesome to see. Come on today to create a video regarding a topic that I've been watching for the last couple of council meetings. And share some of my thoughts and observations about this particular topic. The topic I want to discuss today is a $125,000 giveaway of taxpayer dollars. So as our representatives, we want our representatives to be good stewards of our money. It's one of the things that we count on and rely on them. So when they make decisions about money, we want to see, did that make sense? How is it going to benefit us? So that's what I'm going to dig into today. So I wanted to take just a minute. I have there is an applicant who has applied to the Fort Walton Beach City Council Workforce Housing Fund. Apparently a couple of years ago, 2 years ago or thereabouts, City Council took $1.5 million of city taxpayers' dollars, put it over into a fund and called it a Workforce Housing Fund. And its purpose and intent was to spur new development of affordable housing in the city limits. As stated from the beginning, that's the purpose. So apparently, according to Mr. Frazzetti, there at the City Council on staff, he said that many developers, builders had questioned him and inquired about it, but no one in the year and a half or maybe 2 years that it's been in existence, no one has taken one dime of the $1.5 million of our dollars to spur growth. So recently, back in September, an applicant shows up and is somehow directed to maybe appear before the council and make a request. And the request comes from a reverend of a church, the African AME Church, I believe they're called. I don't have it here in front of me. Yeah, the pastor at Greg Chapel AME Church as an applicant. The background on it is, and I'll post the links here, pictures of it, I'm sure, of the background and the development agreement, which we'll talk about in a minute. But it appears by looking at the background, Reverend Cecil Williams of the Greg Chapel came and requested either a request of $500,000 from the city's Workforce Housing Incentive Fund to assist with the development cost of the proposed workforce housing development. Just for a second, this is where it kind of gets, you scratch your head. This proposed development that he's before the Fort Walton Beach City Council asking for money is in Crestview. So Fort Walton Beach taxpayers would be right to go, why are we being asked for our money? Can he ask Crestview? Well, in all of my time of watching these meetings on this, I've not heard the answer to that, not heard it questioned. It's just he showed up here and then there began an immediate consideration of how to get him some money. So that was option one. Other option, which is kind of where we were at until last night, was forgiveness of the remainder of the mortgage at 15 Carson Drive. 15 Carson Drive is it is the Valor House. Valor House is apparently a low income housing that the pastor and maybe his congregation built back in 2018 with 6 units in it, or renovated it. I can't recall, don't know. But he asked, could you relieve that $125,000 debt? I've not been able to put my eyes on it yet. Maybe some of you viewers can go dig into it if you like, because apparently it happened back in 2017 or 18 when the church came before the city council and they asked for money to renovate, or I think it was renovate that 6 units, clean it up there, clean up the area for $125,000. It's my understanding that the money was granted, but it was attached to a mortgage. It was either 0 interest or no interest or low interest with favorable payback terms. This reverend who got the $125,000 back then on such favorable terms has now shown up 5 years later and asked that taxpayers forgive that debt so that he can maintain low-income housing. that's interesting. He claims, and the documents state, that the purpose of reducing or forgiving that debt is so that he will appear, the borrowing strength, the appearance of the strength of borrowing of the church would be stronger when and if they go to build 20 units in Crestview up to $3 million. So, you know, I deal in contracts in my business all the time, and I'm curious, I've not heard it in public discussion, not seen it in any of the background material or agenda package, but no one asked, when you say it will strengthen your borrowing power, has anyone told you that that was needed? And because in the banking business, they would send you a letter that says you don't qualify because you have too much debt. So don't know if that exists. If it does, it's not been publicly presented or asked or questioned. So at that point, you go, man, hold on a second. We're talking about helping build a $3 million project on land, apparently that Reverend Cecil Williams owns up there, and or the church, I'm not sure. 20 units up there, and he's wanting to get 125 forgiven that we've already given him that was on favorable terms, that it's my understanding none of which, or very little of which, has actually been paid back. So it's just continues to cause me to question, what are we doing here and why we're doing it? So if you go and look at which I'll post here as well, if you go and look at the development agreement, which is by all accounts, everybody on the council, the city attorney, Mr. Frazzetti, everyone has said, well, this is really not the intent of what we set up here. What we set up was money to spur growth for new development. They've all acknowledged this building that they've now given away $125,000 on last night. They voted to do it. It was 3 yeas, 3 noes, and the tiebreaker was the mayor. He commented none on it, cast his vote, and he says, next item. So there went $125,000 taxpayers, no more questions. It's happening. So have to question why. But when we go look at the publicly stated record as to why they were doing it, it says a lot of whereas, developers applying for incentive funds, sure, yeah, on a place that's already built. Whereas city funds the development as a catalyst to supporting the need to support workforce housing needs in the community and recognize that it is in their respective best interests. Okay, I don't necessarily, it's already there. I don't know how it interests us to give away $125,000 that we've already given away, but now we're going to forgive it so that he can go build in Crestview. So bear with me. And it's in their respective best interests and in the best interests of the citizens, okay, of Fort Walton Beach, Florida, to coordinate their efforts. We're just giving them money, and they're going to go build in Crestview. And says he might like to do it again here. Well, I'll talk about that more in a minute. Therefore, this agreement and the conditions contained in it are necessary for the city's economic revitalization and growth and health and safety and welfare of the citizens. That's the whereas. That's their justification. Yes, we're going to give them $125,000, which we'd already given them once, but now we're going to forgive it so they can go build in Crestview. For all those reasons, growth, health, safety, welfare of the citizens. Guys, ladies, gentlemen, this is an example of the kind of thinking down there. There's something going on behind the scenes. I don't know what it is. The reason I so strongly believe that is because on its face, it doesn't make sense. So what's happening? Who's getting what when? Is there something coming back? Is there something going out? I don't know. They're not going to tell you what anybody's talked about otherwise. It stinks. It's rotten. It doesn't make sense. If it made sense to me, I'd be in favor of new housing, affordable housing. But usually when the government gets involved, it's anything but that. But that's another story for another day. That kind of thinking, I was doing another research on another related topic, and I just happened to stumble across some census records, and I'm like, okay, let's see how we've grown here. Because now, if you've been watching city government for any time, you'll know that whether it's the city council, the city manager, or the Chamber of Commerce, they're all in it together for our tax dollars to grow their budgets. It's growth. Let's grow. We've got to grow. We need more money so we can grow and grow and grow and grow. So when I ran across this census data and I was able to play around with it, I found that in 1990 we had 21,500 residents in the city of Fort Walton Beach. Today we have 21,328, so about 200 less people. I don't know, now businesses come and go out of the same building for sure. As far as new businesses go, I would say that during that same 33-year period, the growth of businesses in the city of Fort Walton Beach is probably about the same or slightly up or slightly down, I believe. I haven't confirmed that, but it's just interesting that they're talking about growth, and then when they apply this type of, when you look at and understand that they apply this type of thinking or rationale and say that taking that money is in our mutual best interests of the citizen, and that it is for revitalization and growth and the health, safety, and welfare of the citizen, I don't know what to tell you other than it stinks. It's BS. I don't know why they're doing it, but they're not being transparent with us. It is the type of thinking that is, the more they do, the more opportunities we as citizens have to go and look at their thinking, their rationale, and apply it to the next election. We're coming up on an election. Mr. Locklear, Mr. Moran, we're both on the side, the public side of supporting taking our money and giving it under those circumstances. So you have to ask, I have to ask, if they were placed in office again, how are they going to be good stewards of our money next? There's a number of examples that I'm sure between now and election day I'll be sharing more on some videos there. But just wanted to share that with you. If you have any questions about it, or if you see it from a different angle, you think that it is a part of revitalizing, you think it is a part of growth, safety, and welfare, I'd love to hear from you, because I've talked to a number of people. We cannot figure out why this happened. Appreciate your time. Share this with your friends and neighbors. If you have any questions or thoughts that you'd like to share with me, you can email me at painewalker@gmail.com, or you can call me or shoot me a text at 850-621-6756. Thanks again for your time.